Gotta kick off the show here.
We're agreeing.
So cleaned up.
All right, welcome everyone to the Mafia Cast on Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. This week, we're hosted by Casey and myself. Ronnie's on vacation in Tennessee this week, so we're hoping he's having a good time. Whether you're watching, listening, recorded, live, we appreciate it, everyone tuning in. And this week, we have a guest on the show, John McNeil, with Game On, video games and sports memorabilia. John, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
How's things?
Pretty good. Looking
good.
forward to the start of the season.
Yeah, we all are anxiously waiting.
Getting a little slow out there in the news cycle world.
Yeah.
That's for sure. So, John, we met you last Friday at a Stevie Johnson signing event. Just tell us just how you got started in all of this, like when you started, how you got started, tell us your story.
Well, let's see here. I started collecting in 1983, and as a kid, was big into the cards. Not so much the autograph stuff, but definitely the cards. Always chased after Bills cards, after Red Sox cards. And then right around 1999, I hopped onto eBay and started playing around with that a little bit, doing a little buying and a little selling. A few years after that, I got a spot inside a little antique co-op. So had a little 10 by 10 area and set some of my stuff out there. And I was working full time at Rite Aid at the time. And I take week-long vacations and try to spend that week on eBay and see, how much money I could make in a week. And, if it was something I could live off of and, or at least pay the bills. And so ended up doing that for a while. And then it got to a point 12 years ago, I had enough of the retail world and threw my keys on the desk. And 2 weeks later, I was a free man. But at that point, I kind of wondered what I was going to do. And this was always a passion of mine. So I figured I'd give it a shot. Opened up my first store in Rochester, New York in 2011. And currently my son runs that one. And I've opened one up in Hamburg about 15 minutes from the stadium. Opened that last year.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's so cool. The fact that you turned like a childhood hobby into your income, into your career. That's living the American dream right there. So that's kudos to you.
Yeah.
Big time.
And it's funny because when I was at Rite Aid, I'd be working 50, 60, sometimes 70 hours a week and was miserable. And since I left there, I still do 50, 60, 70 hours a week, but it's a completely different mindset.
Yeah. All on your time though, not for someone else.
It's on my time. It's something I love to do. Getting to meet some of the players is fantastic. Connecting with other Bills fans, or if I've got, a Dolphins fan or a Patriots fan that comes in the store, just ripping on them a little bit and, having that little banter back and forth. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome.
That's so cool. So speaking of the players, tell us how you got hooked up with, how you got started doing these autograph signings and pop-ups.
So let's see here. The first one that I did was actually Scott Norwood.
Oh, that's awesome.
2012. And what a great guy. You just I think everybody kind of severely disliked him for, a couple weeks, a couple months back in the early
Yeah.
90s. But fantastic guy. Just very down to earth, very mellow. I met him at a card show and got talking to him, told him that I had the store, asked him if he'd be interested in coming out and doing a signing. And, he was all for it. So he was the first one. And like I said, that was just by talking to him and pushing my store a little bit. Some of the other guys that I've had in, Carmen Basilio, the Nasty Boys, the wrestlers in the 90s, Keith McKellar, Pete Metzelaars, Ray Bentley, Marv Lee, Daryl Talley, Daryl LaMonica, Stevie Johnson. All these guys have basically been through connections that I've made, over the years. And, it's kind of one thing will lead to another. I've talked with Stevie about possibly bringing in some of his former teammates. So we'll see how that goes. And
you just kind of network and work with what you got and see who you can get in touch with, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you mentioned like some other names, like not all football related, right? You have all sorts of, and it's not, I mean, I was blown away. We walked in the store, all the Bills stuff in there, but not just that, all the other teams and other sports stuff too, besides football, things you wouldn't think about, boxing, things like that. Baseball,
they had your wrestling like as well.
Yeah, right.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I try to carry a little bit of everything. Obviously because of the territory that we're in, Bills is huge. Yankees is huge for baseball. Unfortunately, just breaks my heart.
Hey, man, I'm there with you.
Yeah, right. But, and even, I mean, I get a decent amount of hockey people in. I have a feeling in the next couple of years, it's going to pick up even more just because the Sabres seem to be on the right track and doing a little bit more. So, yeah, I try to round it out and carry at least a little bit of everything.
Now, I know the Bandits just won the championship.
Yep.
So is that going to be something that you're going to think you're going to be picking up on a little bit more?
Possibly. I know some of my competitors in the area have gone through and had some Bandits players in there signing autographs. I enjoy lacrosse. I'm just not a huge lacrosse guy. If I get people coming in asking for the stuff, I'll definitely start carrying it and, possibly see about getting a player or two in there to do an autograph appearance.
That's awesome.
Cool,
yeah. I mean,
cool.
We're from the lacrosse region, so it's funny that we're not like that. There's people that are like, oh yeah, I enjoy it, but it's just, it's not really my thing. And then you go 20 minutes away from my house and it's lacrosse. It's where lacrosse was absolutely invented. So it's really funny that's like kind of the one sport in our region and people half care about it, I guess. Yeah. Right. It really is like 50-50. Either love it or you just don't care at all.
Yeah. I enjoy watching it. I mean, it's very fast paced and exciting.
Yeah.
It's basically hockey without the fights. So, I like it. It's just I haven't put enough time into it to go through and follow either Buffalo or Rochester or whoever,
You are quite a busy guy, I will say that. So I can't blame you for having a bit of a full schedule.
Yeah.
So my last question for you is, out of your entire store and your personal collection, what's your favorite item that you have for sale, or something that you're not necessarily willing to sell because it's that near and dear to your heart?
Maybe any iconic ones from the past too that you might have had.
Yeah.
There's been some pieces that I've really kicked myself for selling. God, I think the one item that I have right now that I'll probably never get rid of is an original stadium seat from Fenway Park. I've gone through and managed to, over the years, add 17 signatures to it of former Red Sox players.
That's cool.
That's awesome.
That's one of those things that I'll never get rid of.
No.
As far as like what I have for sale, Like I'm not a Pokemon guy. I'm a sports guy. My son is more into the Pokemon stuff. I got a pretty couple cool Charizard cards.
Right.
That I mean, they're not huge money, but they're just I don't know.
That was the card you wanted,
Yeah.
back in the day when we were growing up.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody wanted one of
Everyone needed
those.
Yeah, and a lot of people will come into the store, like especially the sports card collectors will come in and they'll be like, "Hey, I don't get the whole Pokemon thing, and I don't know why people spend so much money on this stuff." And I'm like, "Look, Charizard, Pikachu, Snorlax, whoever it is not going to beat their wife. They're not going to go out and get on a banger and wreck their car.
Yep, they're not going to do what a certain wide receiver apparently is being investigated for right now down in the town called South Beach.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yep.
We won't speak any names or any teams or anything, but
yeah, you certainly won't see Jigglytuff packing heat.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh,
But a little something for everybody, though.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like the Fenway seat. That's so cool, man. I grew up a Red Sox fan just to be because everybody around me was Yankees fans, and I hated it. It was so annoying. So I rooted for the Red Sox, and I loved it. So for you to have an original seat from Fenway, that's really impressive. That's really cool.
So how many places did you have to go to get 17 signatures on it?
Not that many, really.
No.
Because the Rochester Red Wings bring in former players every year.
Okay, yeah.
I've gotten a few at the stadium there. I took one trek out to Massachusetts, and there was a show with Fred Lynn and Dwight Evans and Bill Lee. There was a couple other ones there. So I mean, like that spot, I went through and got 5, 6, 7 signatures right there. But other than that, I mean, it's like, unfortunately, I can't carry the chair around with me all the time.
Yeah, I know, right?
But if somebody comes to town, then I try to make it a point to get out to where they are and have them sign it.
So that's sort of the name of the game, right? If you're a collector, you got to be willing to travel a little bit.
Yeah.
To get what you want sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the guy come in Friday with those purple Joker helmets. And he had a tote, and I was like, "Wow, that's commitment right there, man."
Yeah.
Yep.
He had like 5, 6 items in there, I think.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, and by the way, those helmets were sweet.
Yeah.
Those were sweet.
Adam's a great guy. He does great work on those helmets. It takes him forever to do, but I haven't seen a bad one yet. He does a fantastic job.
Very cool.
That was really cool. All right, gentlemen. Well, I suppose we should talk about our beloved Bills football team and what news and updates is going on. Mike, what do you got on any news and updates?
Not a whole lot. I mean, there's some things here and there. There's more talk about Diggs, obviously. Some speculation mostly, I'm guessing. But who knows? Passionate player, like we've always said, who wants to win. They're talking Kyrie Elam. I kind of said that a little bit. I want to see him break out this year. And a couple other things. Mitch Morris, we heard he had a couple surgeries. They sound kind of minor to me. He had some fragments removed from his elbow and his ankle, it sounds like. And it sounds like everything went well there. Other than that, not too much. I mean, the guys, we wrapped up the mini camp and that's that. So now we're in sort of a lull here.
Yeah.
Playing the waiting game. Anything from you? Yeah.
The Diggs thing. Right before we got on here, I actually read a newer article that had come out from Total Pro Sports. And they're hit and miss sometimes, but I would say, I mean, there's always a decent amount of truth in their articles, to say the least. And it said that the Bills are privately taking phone calls for Diggs, that they're not publicly saying that they're shopping him, they're trading him and looking for a trade partner, but that if the right circumstances would come up, that they would listen. At least they would at least accept the phone call. Now that's contrary to everything that all of us dummy losers that have no idea what we're talking about have been saying. The dead cap is too big this year. The dead cap is too big next year. There's no way it'll happen. Blah, 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 blah. He's got the C on his jersey. He's the leader of this team, no matter what. He and Josh Allen, best friends, thunder buddies for life. But we saw Devonta Adams get traded away from the Packers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Our team's got a gel, right? All the guys got a gel, and it just doesn't seem like that's happening.
But that's right now. Every relationship has its ups and its downs. There's no matter what, work relationships and your relationship with your spouse, your kids, your job. It doesn't matter. There's always going to be ups and downs. And we've just had literally nothing but pretty much ups this entire time since Stephon Diggs joined this team. So now this is the real. It took them 4 years to Vikings fans to be like, see, he is a cancer in the locker room. He is going to throw Josh Allen under the bus. It took 4 years and one absolutely god-awful playoff game for that to happen. Mm-hmm. So do you guys think it really is a possibility that he could be traded? John, I'll start with you. Like, what do you think of this whole situation?
I think everything's got a price, whether it's a physical thing or a player or whatever. Like that report said, I'm sure they're taking calls and they're listening. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to have to be something that makes sense for Buffalo. They're not going to go through and get rid of them just to get rid of them. There's going to be something big in return. There's going to be, somebody eating his salary, and it wouldn't be Buffalo.
Mike, what do you think? What's your opinion?
I'd like to think not. I love what we got going on. I think it's a great thing. Maybe he didn't get the ball as much as he wanted, or they talk about voice in the play calling and this and that. I really want to think we're just going to work through this. But like John said, for everything, there's the right price. Mm-hmm. It's worth whatever someone's willing to pay. So, and being, they're all they always keep their options open. They always exploring options. So I'd like to think they're not just going to send some calls to voicemail.
Yeah. Dean's always said, I will take any phone call that is given to me.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen, that article said that it was the Broncos that were the ones that were really listening, and that it would be a first, a second, and Cortland Sutton coming to the Bills. Now, is that really worth Stephon Diggs and whatever cap, no matter what cap, whatever cap we have to eat, is that worth it? That obviously that's up to Brandon Beane to decide. I think Bills Mafia as a whole would go absolutely insane. Exhibit A right here, guys. Richard Rush, no way Diggs was traded. We finally have our star wide receiver. It's been a long, I would say since Stevie Johnson, we haven't had a true legit star wide receiver. Yep. We finally have him. And he's not just, Stevie, this is no offense. He's not, just a top 12 receiver. He is top 3 in my opinion in the league, and number 1 in route running, no doubt about it. So for us to give up something like that, it would sting so much. Yeah. It's just the same way it felt with us losing Tremaine Edmonds this year. Yeah. It hurt so much, a homegrown player, I understand we're Diggs' second team, but it feels like this is where he started. This is where he really blossomed. So to give it away, I think it would just hurt Bills Mafia so much. But coming from a card collector, like you said, everything has its price.
True. Yeah, and don't get me wrong. God, I hope he stays. I hope everything works out and everything. But without him, we don't have a number 1. We don't have a number 2. I don't know if we really have anybody that could step up to even be a number 2. So
right. We'd be having to get a number 1 in return. Or something like that.
So that's
or else we'd be shooting ourselves in the foot, right?
Yep. That leads me to a question. So what's your opinion on Gabe Davis then, if you say we don't even have a number 2?
I love playoff Gabe. I really do.
Everybody loves playoff Gabe.
Yeah. He's got to be more consistent, and I understand. Josh can't throw to Gabe every down. Can't throw to Diggs every down. He's got to be able to spread the ball out a little bit more. But, Gabe's got to make a few more plays, and he doesn't have to go off and, do, 10 and 120 every game or anything, but just be consistent and, be a big part of the offense to where it's going to take some of the pressure off of Diggs.
Be more like a T. Higgins, Jamar Chase type. Just a quick comparison, where they can't really on Cincinnati, you can't really necessarily tell who is the dominant number one because they are both so good. So you can't just shell one and go one-on-one with your best corner on the other side, because no matter what, that one-on-one's getting cooked. And that doesn't always happen with Gabe Davis. We saw that's exactly how the Jets beat us last year. They shelled Stephon Diggs. They put Sauce Gardner on Gabe Davis and shut down the passing game.
Yep.
So I get it. I understand the points. Now, I've been a Gabe Davis believer. I think he was asked too much too quickly, especially from where he was drafted. I mean, it's not like he was a second-round pick, first-round pick. He was a fifth-round pick. So for him to play as well as he did that rookie year, he had zero expectations. He did amazing in preseason and in training camp, which is why he was given that opportunity. And he did well with the opportunities he was given at that time, but he was the number 4 wide receiver. He was a rookie wide receiver. Nobody cared about him. They weren't all that worried about him. And then the second year, all right, he was kind of 2A, 2B with Emmanuel Sanders, and he did seem like he took a step. He was more refined as a route runner. He was just a little bit better of a player overall. And then it seemed like last year he was that same player he was in the second year, but just got more opportunity. He didn't do more with the opportunity. He did the exact same with just more opportunity. So it was it's just the inflation numbers, This balloon, like his targets ballooned. So all the rest of his numbers ballooned. So I think we would all like to see Gabe Davis play better and be a little bit more dominant on the other side of the ball. But it's going to be a big year for him. I'm really curious to see what this offense is going to look like this year with him, and if he's going to be around the following year.
Yeah, I think it probably all depends on what happens this year. And I'm kind of excited to see what McDermott's got planned for Kincaid and Knox, and then you've got Gabe in there and you got Diggs. I mean, that could potentially be 4 really good threats, and you can confuse a lot of people. If Kincaid's as good as he's been said to be.
Von Miller said he's incredible. So I think Von Miller knows a little bit more about football than I do. So I'm going to take his
and me
word for it. Yeah. Hey man, I don't know your entire backstory. Maybe you were in the NFL and just haven't told anyone.
Yeah.
So Chuck here says that Diggs can be replaced, that because he got John Brown 1,000 yards plus, Diggs is also 30. His prime is about to be over. Yes, he got John Brown 1,000 yards, but Stephon Diggs also. Josh Allen also was starting to come into his own. We also had Brian Dable as the offensive coordinator. We also had Cole Beasley on the other side, and we had Stephon Diggs coming in. So we had all those players. Of course, John Brown's going to get 1,000 yards. And he also came into his own in the offenses himself. He was never a bad receiver. He also had 1,000 yards for the Cardinals before. So he's not necessarily a complete trash player. So that's hard. I mean, the age thing, that's one knock against Diggs, but we see him take care of his body. He's never been riddled by injuries or anything like that. So I think the prime, they gave him a 6-year deal last year for a reason. And it's not because his prime's about to be over.
Yep. And
Roy says Kincaid is a rookie and he's keeping his expectations in check. I mean, that's smart. I mean, we all blow rookie expectations out of proportion. I mean, we all. Gregory Rousseau is
want
going
to
to
be great.
Yeah, I mean, we all want our first round rookies to be great, but I mean, for every Justin Jefferson in a draft, there's a Jamarcus Russell. So you never know what you're going to get.
So I think we moved on from the news and updates. We're kind of
we have
talking about this sort of thing now. We're talking about the offense next year. Talking about Kincaid, Diggs. I don't know. We're feeling like it's almost. Some people want to act like it's a question mark at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
But,
John, what do you compared to what we saw last year? I know we had the number 2 offense in the NFL. I mean, across the board, we put up numbers, but it seemed like at times there were lulls, and that it was the offense just got kind of stagnant, and we're gonna live and die by what we do. Period. Point blank. We're not going to change anything.
Yep.
What do you think or hope the offense is going to look like in 23?
I hope that Dorsey has learned a little bit, and does a little bit better play calling. The first couple of weeks last year, I mean, we were just rolling. I mean, it was almost like a Madden game, and I think we all got to the point of, oh, this is going to be easy. We're going to blow through the season, and then we'll face the Bengals, the Chiefs, whoever. And, ultimately we're going to get to the Super Bowl. But teams had us figured out real quick. I mean, it only took a few weeks last year. So I'm hoping that Dorsey does a little bit better play calling. I'm not worried about Josh. I'm not worried about the Diggs situation. I think that's all going to end up playing out fine. And, there's not going to be any issues there. I hope Kincaid is better than a rookie.
Yeah.
I hope Knox kind of comes back to what he was 2 years ago. Last year he seemed to, it almost seems to me like a few of the guys just got very comfortable and just kind of knew that on paper we were the better team than anybody else out there.
Yes.
But took that for granted,
Absolutely. Right. I mean, Knox, I understand he fought through his brother's whole situation, and he also dealt with injury. So people are like, oh, they're low on him because his numbers were down. I mean, he was on track to blow out the numbers from the year before. Yeah. He was still, I want to say, second or third on the team in touchdowns. So that's not too bad.
Right.
But Mike, what do you think? What do you hope to see differently in the offense in 23?
Oh man, I'd like to say the same, but because we did well. I think we did well. But obviously we need a little improvement. And I was kind of saying this maybe at the end of the season, kind of that, I don't know, like John mentioned, we were kind of rolling in the beginning of the season. We were just rolling over these teams, and I don't know if, like you said, we were good on paper, just all the excitement, we're building this great team here. And maybe we hit it too hard in the beginning of the season, and the season's long. You got to stay healthy. Maybe you got to pace yourself sometimes, take those L's when you can afford them. And, because you're not going to win every game in this league. So maybe try to pace yourself a little bit, but also maybe be a little bit more aggressive too, rushing and passing the ball. I mean, we got average height of receivers is up this year, so I'm glad to see that. So hopefully more guys going up, getting the ball, and but I want to see them, pound the rock too. A good balanced game.
Yep. And the one other thing that I don't hear or haven't heard a lot of people talk about, from mid-season on, those players are such a part of the community. We embrace them; they embrace us right back. The whole incident at Tops, Dawson's brother, like you said, DeMar. I mean, it's a lot for one person to take, and then try to go out there, suit up, and get into a game mindset. I know they're professionals, and I know they've got an extra level to their, to what they do, but it's still, it's got to take your toll on you mentally and, throw you off the game a little bit, whether it's for one game, for half a season, for the full season, whatever.
These guys are gladiators. They are literally modern day gladiators, but they're still humans. The movie Gladiator, everybody resonated with it because they talked about his real life problems.
Mhm.
You know, but I mean, he was a hero in that stadium, but outside of like that arena, he was nothing except just a regular guy. And these people are all still regular guys, which bring like it's like the whole Stephon Diggs thing. You've never been mad at your boss at work. You know, you've never had an argument with a coworker. You've never had an argument with your best friend.
Mhm.
I've told my best friend things that I should never tell other human beings. Like, and called him bad. Like, said that, like, things happen. These guys are still humans. So last year just like wore on them. And it wore on like Bill's Mafia, you know,
Yeah.
as us, you know, and we weren't even playing. We were just rooting for them. Like, yeah, go team, but damn, we're tired.
Mhm.
You know, so imagine how those guys actually felt.
Yeah.
So that
Crazy.
brings another point up. You know, other than the offense and defense, you know, Bills Mafia, I know we go back and forth sometimes. If we could all kind of be tighter this year, you know, I mean, last year kind of brought us together a little bit
Mhm.
with the drama and all that, you know, kind of stuff going on. But we could always be doing a lot better, you know,
This
getting behind
offseason,
these players, stop tearing people down, you know, and, you know,
Yep.
just root for our team.
this offseason's definitely been a divider, it seems, of Bill's
Yeah.
Mafia. There's been a lot of, it's kind of like going back to that dark year of 2020 and the nation getting divided, you know?
Yep.
But this is like this offseason has just been absolutely crazy. And it's the first rough offseason, like I said, we've had since we've gotten good again. So it's my first one in my life. I was born in 95, so this is the first good Bills team I've really ever seen. And for all this bickering to come out, I'm like, this is all so dumb. Like, none of it matters. Like, the fans and the media care about it way more than the players, the coaches. You know, they're like because they know what's actually going on. Nothing is as big as a deal as people want to make it out to be. People just like to be heard and like to get clicks.
Yeah, and I give McDermott so much credit for every situation that he's been in with this team. Like, I've just got so much respect for the guy, and I think canceling that last day of mini camp was the right move to do 100%. And just, you know, let's take a step back, get the media out of this. You know,
Yeah.
it's getting, like you said, you know, blown out of proportion, and it's more than what it really is. You know, let's just cool off for now, and then we'll go into camp and with a new attitude.
Agreed.
The new ad.
Absolutely. This. Hey, everybody, go hang at a lake, go on a boat, go have a drink, and I'll see you and see you at the end of July. You know, just everybody needed space to breathe, which
Yeah.
is why I
I don't know what you're seeing, John. I'm kind of froze up on my end.
Yeah,
Casey
both you
froze
guys
up a
froze
little
there
bit.
for a second, but
It looks like Casey's still locked down to me.
yep.
Yeah. Well, while you tries to figure that out, we'll talk a little more about this. So we talked about the offense a little bit. The defense, obviously, we want to see a little bit of different stuff there. I mean, 13 seconds, that was horrible. We always keep going back to that. But what do you think about this defense coming up this year? What do you want to see from them?
I just want them to stay healthy. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, between, you know, Miller and DeMar and Hyde and Poyer, everybody was so banged up at one point or another, or, you know, with Miller missing, you know, the better part of the season. I think if they can stay healthy, we're going to have a number one defense.
Yeah, true that. I would love to see that this year. Anything else? Play calling, style of defense. I mean, obviously we got some different players in there. Do you see any of these new players having roles in this defense this year?
I love the signing of Floyd.
Yeah.
I think that was just huge. I'm hoping Terrell Bernard has a big year. I think he's going to have a bigger role. As far as the play calling last year, I think we were okay. We didn't. If we had been, and I hate to say this, but if we had been healthy, I mean, we would have rolled pretty good.
Yeah.
And everything they did last year was solid, with the exception of a couple, injuries that the other team exploited on us.
True.
by not having Poyer for a bit, for not having Hyde for a bit, for Trey, Von Miller. Miller would have been, we had that issue before Miller got there. So, I'm not going through and blaming it on his injury or anything, but it
was definitely a huge loss. And man, how tough is that with when there's not much contact and guys go down, it's like, oh no, you start thinking the worst. And that's definitely not what we wanted to hear. But you said the mentioning of, or the signing of Floyd, I feel like that's a little reassurance, because at that point we lost Miller last year. We were sort of at a loss. We're like, man, this, we got to fill this position. Not that we don't have guys that can play that position and play it well, but that was a huge hit. And I like to see that we got a little more depth there at that position. As far as play calling and that, I guess I'd like to see, maybe some more aggressiveness, more blitzes, just send it sometimes. I know, because we end up, you're going to get scored on anyways. If you're doing bend, don't break, and you're just giving too much, and they eventually end up getting there. Why not just send the house at them, and make them make some quick decisions. So maybe I'm thinking a little bit of different stuff there. As far as the defense goes.
You're right. And if you go back and, the last few years, especially, look at all the times that, like you said, the bend, don't break, we'll give up 5, 7, 10-yard little routes, and, they just keep doing it and marching down the field and score. And, that's the end of it.
Yeah.
Where, on the flip side of the ball, we don't do that. A lot of times, and Josh has got the cannon. So, I'd probably do the same thing, but, sometimes you just need to take those short little gimmies and just move down the field with it. If that's all you're getting, and it's how a lot of teams exploited us last year.
Yeah. You're not going to hit the home run every time, so yeah, definitely got to mix it up. So anything else as far as offense, defense, Bills Mafia, anything different next year? I want to say one more thing. I want to see Diggs not upset at the end of the year. Let's see if we could do that. I think that's all I have to add on.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I don't think it's going to be his attitude that changes. I think the only thing that's going to happen is, we're going to make a nice, long, deep run into the playoffs to where he's going to be happy.
Yeah. Look at Roy Collins here. He's saying if Cook can get 1,000 yards, that'll help.
Oh, yeah.
I guess it sure would.
Yeah.
I'd love to see a guy like Cook break out.
It's been a while since we had a solid running game.
Yeah. Well, we got all these guys now in the backfield too. We kind of stacked them up there. And it brings up another point that I've been saying this for a while now. The versatility, the wide variety. We've added a little variety to the talent field of this team this offseason too. And I want to see us sort of break down these other teams, not sort of play to their level, but really, really kind of pick them apart and put players in positions and get a game plan, unique to each team, and, just tear them apart, when we gotta and handle business, like Stevie says, have fun, then handle biz.
Exactly.
Yeah.
HBHF.
Yeah. That was cool. I got that on where is it over here? The picture. I had him put that on there. Little inspirational, So I think that's it for offense, defense. We could ask Casey again. He gets back on here. This is a point, this topic here, something that struck me this week watching NFL Network in the morning. They're talking about this Kansas City, Cincinnati rivalry and who's going to own the AFC and all this stuff. Cincinnati quarterback and wide receivers are gelling, and Patrick Mahomes is the greatest. And it's kind of it's still humbling being a Bills fan, even though we're the greatest this team has been in a long time.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. It's just I don't know what it is. Is it because we're just a blue collar town? Why do you think they're just kind of throwing shade at us, or do you think it really is Cincinnati and in Kansas City that are the top two teams in the AFC?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't get me wrong. Mahomes is a phenomenal quarterback. I think Burrow's the real deal. He's going to be a force to reckon with for years to come. I love Herbert in San Diego. They don't get talked about that much. But at the end of the day, I honestly believe, and I don't think I'm just saying this because I'm a Bills fan. I think we have the best quarterback.
Yeah.
And on paper, we're better than any team. We just got to get everything, all our ducks in a row, all at once and run it for a full season.
Right. He's back.
Oh my God.
Welcome back, Casey.
I don't know what happened. My laptop just completely turned off and now it just won't turn back on. I don't know what's going on.
Overheated or something, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Can you guys hear me okay? Everything
we
fine?
hear you, but there's a little, I don't know if there's a little echo or a little bit of static. But yeah, we hear you. This is doable, I think.
Gotcha.
So we wrapped up the offense and defense. We were talking about that a little bit. I didn't know if you had anything to add in there before we went on to the AFC talk here.
No, the offense was just, I just want to see more. I want to see more from Ken Dorsey going east and west instead of north and south.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what John was saying too, chip away at it.
Yeah, well, I want to
some
see
yards here and there.
More so running away from the defense instead of right at them, going north and south. I mean, trying to push them and come back. I would like to, especially in a man defense, get Diggs and Davis running across the field and away from the corners and let them use their athletic ability to go up and get the ball.
Yeah, get to that open spot, be a little more aggressive.
Exactly. Lead them on the run.
All right, defense, I said, maybe be a little more aggressive, things like that. Any thoughts on defense?
Yeah, I mean, more sacks is what we always want.
Yeah.
So that as long as we keep getting pressure, then I'm happy with it. Oh, that's better.
Yeah. So yeah, on from the offense defense next year. We were talking about this topic here. I said spark my interest on the NFL Network. They're talking KC and Cincinnati, the top of the AFC, and they got some sort of rivalry, and everything's going well for them guys. Just I was saying blue collar Buffalo. It's still humbling being a Bills fan. So, John thinks the Bills are, and I think it too. I mean, we're right there with them, but they just leave us out of this conversation. And how does that make you feel, Case?
I think if we weren't having the off season, we were having drama wise, it would just be, we would still be right there where everybody's like, oh, the narrative is the Bills are imploding, basically. Yeah. We're gonna have the fall like the Rams and the Titans did, and a team with Josh Allen will never be what the Rams were last year.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand that they had a lot of injuries. They lost a lot of players to retirement and free agency after that Super Bowl, but Matt Stafford is not as good as Josh Allen. I'm sorry. Even in his prime, I think just prime to prime, Josh Allen is more talented.
Yeah.
Than Matthew Stafford. So I mean, the Bills are still right there. I don't care what anybody says. I mean, the outside narrative, I think it's good for Sean McDermott and Josh Allen. It just gives them they're one of those guys, they love the chip on the shoulder, and the national media and the rest of the NFL is just building it right up for them. So let's see what they do, being left for dead, basically.
Yeah. So I want to throw this out there. They're saying how well they're gelling in Cincinnati and all this stuff. But I just want to throw this out there. Rather have drama now than later in the season when it's really important. Hopefully we get our stuff together. And I would hate to see something, happen with our our opponents there, KC or Cincinnati.
Well, so I mean, just drama-wise, T. Higgins is in a contract year. I mean, this is his last year of his rookie deal.
Yep.
And he wants to get paid. And they're about to have to pay Joe Burrow. I mean, he's going to reset the quarterback market again. There's no doubt about that. So they're going to have to sign Joe Burrow this year, T. Higgins this year, and then Jamar Chase next year. There's no way you can do that on top of paying Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard and all of those guys. There's just no way.
Yeah.
No, they don't have Bean.
No,
Yeah.
they don't. They do not.
So you think it's kind of like do or die for Cincy in the next year or two?
I mean, I'm never like a do or die.
Yeah.
Again, Joe Burrow's too good, and they'll
Yeah.
have Jamar Chase. So that duo's never going to go away.
It will always attract talent, right? Having
Yeah.
good players, just
Absolutely.
just like us, right?
Brady, Randy Moss, Brady Gronk, all Brady Edelman. There was always guys wanting to play with them.
Yeah.
It's just like that.
Well, so I think that answers that. You just got to throw that out there, guys. Don't forget about the Bills. We're right here in it too.
Yeah, we're not going anywhere.
So with that being said, though, last game of the season, Casey and I made the trip out to Orchard Park, and something was in the air. It just fell off. John, we haven't talked to you much about this. We've discussed it with a few other people. Was something off in the atmosphere? I don't know if you were at the game or not, or at home. Did something just not feel right going into the last game last season?
Yeah, I think there were a few things that weren't right. There was definitely something going on. Whether it was the emotions of playing Cincinnati again and being, up against them since the first time since DeMar. I don't know if that weighed on some of the guys. Was Josh having problems with his girl at the time?
Right. Maybe.
Those rumors go around. It kind of reminded me of, and see, now I'm going to show my age here. Back during the Super Bowl run, Thurman lost his helmet. Kelly was hungover. Each Super Bowl there was a backstory to it on why they couldn't, go through and finish the deal. I hope we're not going through that again.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was, whether it was the personalities or whatever, something got into their head, and I hope they all learn from that and we don't see that again.
Yeah, true. But whatever it was, the combination of things, the overwhelming season, the community itself had all together, we were all just kind of worn out at that point. But, talking to some fans before the game, we're getting ready to go into the stadium, and people are like, oh my God, I forgot to do this morning. I'm not wearing this today that I've worn every game. What? And it wasn't just there was a lot of people, and if anyone's watching wants to comment, there was a lot of people saying things like that. I don't know, we were all just kind of off our game right there and then.
It's true. It's 100% true. And it was very annoying. Even Mike and I, we had one tradition that we forgot to do walking into the stadium, and I was like, don't worry. I was like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I was like,
how important are the fans? It's just the fans. But I mean, some people are really superstitious.
Yep.
But even whether you are or you're not, it's just, there's definitely some weird stuff in the air there. And I think it was just the combination of the lengthy season. And I mean, I don't think you have much more of a rough season than the Bills had last year, as far as community stuff, on the field stuff, but not rough as far as losing all your games, but just dealing with the certain issues that are sort of out of your control.
Yeah.
Hold on,
good, Case.
everybody. I'm switching back to my laptop now.
We only got about 10 minutes left.
Dan, I apologize for this.
John.
Oh, you're fine.
Jan,
I'm just glad it's not me.
Right? Leave it to Casey. I think he's frozen up before.
Once. All right.
Did you guys bring pizza that game? I don't remember.
Oh.
We did bring pizza to a couple games. I don't know if we did. And there might have been, I don't know. Sarah just said, did we bring pizza to that game? I don't know if we did. Our first couple games of the year, I think we did. But the last, I don't know if we did for that one. I think you're muted, Case. I don't hear you.
We brought pizza to a couple of them.
We did. But not, I don't know if we ended up bringing one to that game. Ah, man. So fans, next year, we all got to be on our game too. Mm-hmm. Don't put all the pressure on the players.
No, and, we can all be better.
Yeah. 100%.
100%. So
absolutely. Well, boys, I think our time here has come to an end.
We've covered pretty much everything this week. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell everybody where they can find you. Give us your socials. Tell us where they can find you in the cities. Let everybody know what's going on.
All right. So you can see this beautiful mug in Hamburg at 1 Buffalo Street. It's inside of Staub Square. I'm one of 2 stores in the building that does not have a sign on the outside. So just be like everybody else. When you're at the corner of Main and Buffalo, give me a call and I'll direct you into where I'm at. If you want to see my son, he's at 2670 Dewey Avenue, right in Greece, but it's actually on the border of Rochester, so right on the city line there. If you guys can't make it out to either store or don't want to, that's fine too. I completely understand. I wouldn't want to see me. My eBay store, my user ID on eBay is CFDJOH3. Real easy to remember. Instagram is Game On Hamburg, and Facebook is Game On Video Games and Sports Memorabilia.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for being on the show. That's what we love to do here. We're talking, players and other Bills Mafia members, what we're doing in the community, how we contribute. I've been to your store at Greece just this past week, and I'm going to go, I think, sometime soon, check out your place in Hamburg. You got another signing, I think, coming up in the future. So we'll have our eyes on that. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Casey, you got anything to add?
No, thank you for coming. I mean, this was a lot of fun, and I can't wait to go back. And I hope you know that Mike and I are sending his girlfriend and my wife to you for all of our Christmas and birthday presents from here on out.
Yeah.
Excellent. I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for having me on. Let me do a couple little cheap plugs on my store. Mm-hmm. It's very much appreciated.
Absolutely.
Actually, if you guys have a minute, Stevie Johnson's got an event on the 15th of July at Martin Luther King Park in Buffalo. Everything can be found on Stevie's Instagram. We're sharing it on our Instagram and Facebook. And there's going to be a ton of Bills Mafia out there. So, it's something great for the community. And, Stevie's giving back like he always does. He's an amazing guy that never stops. So, but yeah, I mean, thank you guys so much for giving us a platform. And I'll talk to Stevie. We'll get him on here. And maybe I'll bring you guys another player or two, either current or former.
Awesome.
Absolutely, man. We can't wait to do this again. We definitely will.
Excellent. Appreciate it.
Awesome,
well, that being
John.
said, thanks everyone for watching the Mafia Cast on Buffalo Rumblings Vidcast Network. Until next time, go Bills.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.